Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to SeahawkTalk here on the Salve Athletics Network. I'm your host, Andrew Pizzelli, and we're coming to you live on Facebook, YouTube, and Periscope through Twitter. We are live every single day, 3 to 4 p.m. Today, we will have special guests Rob McGinnis, Elizabeth Clark, Shannon Kennedy, Maeve Ledwith, and Jane Walsh. We will also talk to our producers to start off the show, but before we get to them, like always, we want to remind you to keep your distance. That is Salve Regina Sports Information Director and Associate Athletic Director Ed Habershaw with his rendition of Keep Your Distance from The Shake, a Rhode Island-based band with a message that we can apply worldwide. Social distancing, hand washing, mask wearing, we've been talking about all of it for a long time now, and we're continuing to remind everyone to do those simple and easy things here on the Seahawk Talk program. Want to bring in the producers now, Joey Morelli and Mike DeFusco, to lead off today's program. Fellas, how are we doing here on Hump Day?
Doing fantastic. It's like the first day we've had sun in so long. So
it's really cold here. It's 30 degrees. I can't relate.
It's the Arctic blast. I told you about it now.
It's Arctic blast, yeah.
Actually, Mike, it's funny you bring up the sun because I'm sure you guys have things to get to, but you kind of lead me right into something that I wanted to bring up. So I'm going to share this now. This is from TJ Del Santo, works for the local news. But bye-bye, sun. The sun will set on Uktivik or Barrow, Alaska for the last time this year. People there won't see the sun again until January 23rd.
That's just depressing.
We complain about the sun setting at 4 o'clock, but it's still rising the next day.
Yeah.
Imagine if the sun set tonight at 4 and we didn't see it again until January 23rd. That would be...
Sometimes
terrible.
The sun will not rise the next day. For some people, it won't.
So I'm sure now the flip side of this is that there's periods of time where the sun never sets, which can be unsettling to the circadian rhythm. But in Uktivik, Alaska, sun's going to set. And January 23rd, it'll come back up. So a lot of darkness up there for a while. Got to settle. Get your vitamin D tablets.
Oh God, yeah. Is Anvil, Norway. My friend works there, and the sun never comes up. It's a tourist destination for some reason.
Yeah. So anyway, that's just a little odd little tidbit of news I saw that would be interesting. And yeah, so sun will set around 4:30 here today, but will rise tomorrow morning. Thank God.
We think.
So, what should? I have faith in that much, Joey. The sun will come up tomorrow. So. Anyway, fellas, what do you guys have to start off the show here today?
I'll jump in here first with a little bit of good news about construction. So construction finally, after a very long 2020, has wrapped up on the new Port Pell Bridge. It has been a struggle, Joey. You're already home, so at this point,
I know.
But for anyone else whose traffic has been, has experienced this traffic going over the bridge, it'll stop at the end of this week. They'll finally be removing the barriers. 2 lanes will again be open. However, construction will return in April, but only for overnight, luckily. So that will not be. So if you come back, Joey, if you decide you want to, come back and you're all fine, you can come back over and have 2 lanes to drive through. Not that it already wasn't narrow before, but now it's just back to normal.
Yeah, I was gonna say they say the construction is done. Yeah, wraps up for 2020. You say, oh, they're coming back in April. Yeah, that's what I thought. They're never gonna be done constructing the bridge. They've been working on that bridge since my sister went to Salve. It's in 2009.
This is just their mid-season finale. They're coming back in the spring to keep going.
Exactly.
the longest running show of all time, the Newport Pell Bridge construction.
Who will finish construction first, the Newport Pell Bridge or whatever they're doing in front of the Viking Hotel on that street? They've also been working on that for 30
guys,
years.
this is just construction in Rhode Island, okay? You know,
What's
Rhode Island
construction
is constantly under we might as well be called the construction state as much as the ocean state. So
Yeah, I mean, everywhere's like this, but we live there, so we get to complain about it. Just like now that I'm back in New Britain, I get to complain about the potholes never getting fixed.
So that's funny. Joey, do you have anything to lead off the show here today?
Well, today I was anticipating talking about the governor's presser on the coronavirus, and then they were like, "No, it's tomorrow now." So I don't know why they pushed it off. But what I can talk about is, I don't know if you can hear it in the background, but I got my 3D printer finally. It has arrived. It is. Well, I need to pour the resin in. I'm going to do that after we go up, and then it's not going to be done. But maybe we'll see how far it gets in the hour before the end of the show, and I can show us in progress the test build. But yeah, that's cool. I'll print something Felder related at some point if I can get it to work.
I can't believe that you. I mean, it blows my mind. I mean, when I was in school, we were talking about 3D printers, and our school got one, and it took up the room. And it was this crazy thing. I was like, oh, my God, they spent all this money to get a 3D printer. And I mean, it was my senior year, so I didn't even get to play around with it at all.
Exactly. It's like computers.
Now you just got one off Amazon and it's in your house?
Amazon. Yeah, it's
bananas.
It is smaller than my computer tower. It's as big as my frame, essentially, that I'm currently trapped within.
And what are the material? Like, what do you print? You hit 3D
what
printers. It's not like you're loading in paper. So how does it work?
So the original kind of 3D printers were, it's called FDM. I cannot, for the life of me, remember it. The F stands for filament. That's all that matters. It used to be the ones that you're probably familiar with and that your school got, I'm sure. It was these big spools of it's this plastic stuff, and essentially the nozzle melts it a little bit, and then kind of like a hot glue gun. It's kind of like a hot glue gun, but more solid. And that's an FDM printer. And the newer kind that has it's a little harder to use, but it's got more definition, which is why I want it, is resin printers, which I have the resin right here. And it's similar to nail polish, almost certain kinds of nail polish that harden with UV light. That's how it works. It slowly, layer by layer, hardens the UV resin to make a shape.
This makes me think of in the movie Back to the Future when he's in the 50s and he's talking to Doc Brown. He's like, "Oh, you need plutonium." He's like, "Plutonium? I'm sure where you come from, you could just walk into your drugstore and get that." That's what I feel like this is. 10 years ago, I'm thinking oh, 3D printers, maybe, my office will have one, or, government agencies have them.
Yeah.
Little did I know we would be ordering them off Amazon, and
I know, right?
Could have a 3D printer in their house.
I remember when 3D printers came out, and it was $600 was the cheapest one you could get, and it was an FDM one, and it was kind of crappy. And this was roughly $200 with tax and all that jazz. Honestly, the resin's
now we have the Stop and Shop knockoff 3D printers. Yamaha will be making 3D printers.
I'll buy a Yamaha 3D printer. I'll do it.
All right.
Yeah, well, anyway. No, sorry. So Joey, do us a 10-second how-to clip about that at some point. Just make something for us and do a little video. That'll be all.
If I can figure out how to use Blender and I'll probably make us the Seahawk logo thing, the Salve logo. I'll try to do I'll set up my webcam or a camera or something and try to get a time lapse.
I've always wanted to have a Pez. Is that something you can 3D print for me?
If I can make a 3D model of your face, if you can get me a 3D model of your head, that's beyond the scope of my skill at this point. I can make you a donut. That's what I've learned from YouTube so far.
An inedible donut.
An inedible plastic donut.
Yeah. All right. So
we're not at Star Trek yet. I can't print hot Earl Grey tea.
All right, fellas, great stuff. I'm going to let you guys get to work behind the scenes helping to produce the show, and we'll talk to you again at the close. So,
alrighty.
All right.
All right, that's Joey Morelli. And Mike DeFusco, the producers here on Seahawk Talk. Going to go now to our first guest here on Wednesday, the head coach of our men's and women's cross-country teams, Rob McGinnis. Rob, welcome to the show. How are we?
All right, Andrew. How are you?
I'm good. You guys had, I believe this was your final time trial of the fall season. We'll call it that. So I know you sent me a whole bunch of great pictures. I'm going to show those on the screen. I'll let you just kind of run us through how the time trial went, and then how kind of closing down the fall practice season for you guys.
Sure. Let's talk about time trial number 3. So we did a senior day, such as it was, to honor and recognize the 4 seniors in the class of 2021. That's the photos that you're seeing right now. So we tried to space ourselves out and went up and read off their accomplishments for Jill and Fran and Kat and Sid, and reminded everyone of what a great career they'd all had. Certainly not the ending that we expected for this class, but we made the most of it, and we appreciate their leadership and their resilience under some very challenging circumstances this fall. They did a great job, and I could not be prouder of these 4. They really did a great job of setting the tone for their teammates, for communicating the expectations about what it's like to be a part of our program, and for showing up every day and setting that example, giving their best effort. They did exactly what's expected of a team captain, and we're very happy that we've had them in the roles that they were in this fall. So we had to do senior day. They all received, because they're all captains, the traditional leadership coins. And now into the time trial. So here's what happens. You see a couple of jubilant runners springing off the ground. We staggered the start on this one. And as I begin to wonder about what they did with their head starts, now I have proof. When my wife, Jen, was showing me these photos after the time trial, I now had a good indication of what happened when we sent them off a little bit early. So we took the results of time trial number 2 and then reversed the field so that we could set it so that basically everyone would finish around the same time. So handicap the start, a different way of running a time trial. And you see that at least in the opening mile, they were having a grand old time jumping and thumbs up to the camera. And they're so lucky, 1, that I like them, and 2, that this was practice, because during a meet, this isn't going to fly.
I was to say, that looks like odd form there, the full on like bouncing up and down. Probably not conducive to good times.
Not at all. So now we know what they did in the opening mile, but you see the rest of the field working its way out. And then Kate Norton, Chrissy Moran, and I went off on the third and final stagger. You see us making our way down past Morton Park here. This is on Ochre Point. So Fran Moore probably had the top performance of the day in terms of overcoming the stagger and exceeding expectations from time trial 2. There you see Juliana Petronio. This is just before the 3-mile mark, probably 2.5 miles into the race as we came along Ochre Point Avenue. We used the old Mansion Run course and extended it 6,000 meters. So for those who've been around a while, the Mansion Run was a 5K road race, and it was a lot of fun back when it happened. So we used that course as the foundation and then added it an extra 1,000 meters to make it the championship distance. There's Lindsay Stroyce. Lindsay was in our top 7 for the first time this season. We had a few of our regulars out there. They are sitting on the fence due to some various odd medical things that cropped up in the closing week of the season. And we missed having them in the lineup because certainly they would have affected the outcome of the time trial. But luckily we had people who could fill in and do those jobs. As I look through the top 7, Kate and Chrissy were 1 and 2, no movement there. But then it's senior day. So Kat Bruce, Sid DeCesare, and Fran Moore all worked their way into the top 7 that day. So a fitting performance for the seniors. Here you see me working my way up through the field because you know what? Coach is not going to let you just have that stagger and take off. So I worked my way up and I started passing people because I wanted to prove the point that you could come off the final stagger and actually catch the top of the field. There's Emma Cody making her way through. I think Nicole Menninger is right behind her. Yep, there's Nicole. Good to have her back in action. And we didn't have her in practice for a couple of weeks. She's back now. Jenna French, she had a good run with us this season. And yeah, there's more photos in this gallery than the last time. We made sure everybody had some representation. So the group looks good. They moved well. These time trial results were better than time trial 2. There's Kate and Chrissy as they started to catch the field. And everything started to sort of gel in the last 1,000 meters of this one, which is what we expected. I wanted the group to finish fairly close together. Here's Fran coming in first. So she definitely outran her stagger. Full on sprint to the finish for Fran here. That's the way to finish up. Kat was pretty close behind, and Kat wound up as our 3rd runner for the day once we did all the math. And then here's Sid. So the seniors all up pretty high in the field, making their presence known on senior day, which we appreciate. No question about how hard they ran. And here you see another example of coaches not going to let you win that kick to the finish. So I caught Juliana, and Juliana was kicking hard, but you know what? I'm going. That's just how I am. So, yep. And here's Lauren Fox. Lauren got back into the lineup. She hadn't been feeling well for a while, so we had her back. And then we see Morgan and Emma coming up on the left side of the frame. We saw them jumping.
I just realized hand in hand.
Hand in hand. Yeah, they really wanted to get my attention with these photos. And again, they're lucky I like them. So here we are holding hands. That's
better
that's
hand
great.
in hand than like tied at the ankles, right?
Yes. Right. So there they are, clearly having a good time.
Step for step, though. They could have done it.
They did. I give them credit. They were working pretty hard. There's Chrissy coming in. She was right behind. And as you can see, the field has definitely overlapped by this point because the last group has caught those in the middle. There's Jenna coming in right in the middle of the pack. And there's Jill, the other of the four captains, making her way to the finish for one more time. Jill's a track and field athlete and a captain too, though, so we've not seen the last of her. There's Isabella Kozorski. We're happy to have her. She's done a good job for us in her first season across country. Coaches Casey and Tori doing the math. Hey, Tori's a math teacher. I knew I had the right person in charge of handling the conversions from the time trial. And now we're back to the top at senior day. So it was a fitting end to the season. The group really did a nice job on this training cycle. I'm very proud of them for sticking with it, for giving it a good effort. And for those who run track and field in the spring, we'll pick up once we get back for the new semester. But that's time trial 3.
Yeah. How would you feel like the attitude and the mood is of the team? You know, you guys were able to do things, run, compete against yourselves somewhat, but at least be out there. You know, what was the mood of the team as that all kind of wraps up?
I think you see it in those photos, Andrew, where they were clearly having a good time. They enjoy training with each other. It's a good group to work with. They like each other's company. They're fun. They work hard. And morale has been high ever since we started. I think they were happy to just have something that resembled normal at a very abnormal time otherwise. So the attitudes were good. The morale was high. The level of effort was entirely appropriate for what we were trying to do this fall. And they did very well.
Yeah. Rob, you always find a litany of interesting and different stories. We have a number of them. Good that we can, if we don't get to all of them, we can keep them in the bank for a future date. But we're going to start with what I think is probably the most impactful one. This man, Sid Bush, who's run nearly 1,000 marathons and half marathons to honor fallen heroes. Sid is 74 years old.
He is.
Absolutely incredible story. He says, it gives me a reason for getting up in the morning. 74-year-old Navy veteran runs marathons to honor the lives of other fallen soldiers. Just an incredible story.
It is. Mr. Bush is a career Navy veteran. And as I'm sure Coach Villarreal could tell us, here's someone who lives the core values of the Navy. You talk about honor, courage, and commitment. He did that throughout his career in the Navy. And then in his running life, 1,000 marathons and half marathons. Do the math on that. So he's got 200 marathons in honor of others who have died in service. So that's over 5,000 miles. And then you've got 800 half marathons on behalf of that same group. That's another 10,000 miles plus. He's run more than 15,000 miles on behalf of fallen service members. And initially, as that story says, he was pulling names off of the websites that list those who've been killed in action, and then he started to get requests. And family members would ask if he would run a half or a full on behalf of a son or daughter who died in action. And of course, he was happy to take up the cause. So, an inspiring story. And now at 74, I think he's run his last Marine Corps marathon, but. Wow. I hope I'm putting in that kind of mileage when I'm 74.
I was just going to say, I was like, do you hope to be doing, I hope to be doing like a 10th of that when I'm 74. I don't know how my knees are going to be in 5 years, let alone like 70 years.
It's impressive. Anytime you see these super master runners who are putting in all kinds of mileage, it's really a credit to them. And in this case, a very noble cause behind each one of those steps.
Awesome. Rob, like I said, love every single week. You come with cool and interesting stories for us. We have plenty more to get to, but the good thing is we have plenty of more episodes as well to get to all those stories. So we'll get to the rest of those another time. Thank you so much for taking your time here today to join us here on Seahawk Talk.
Thanks, Andrew. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. That's Rob McGinnis, the head coach of our men's and women's cross country team. We're now going to go to 3 members of our field hockey team: Elizabeth Clark, Shannon Kennedy, and Maeve Ledwith. Ladies, welcome to the show. How are we?
Good.
Good.
I'm going to start with a very simple question for each of you, and we'll go Elizabeth, then Shannon, then Maeve. We'll do it that way. Why did you pick Salve?
I picked Salve because I fell in love with the campus from the second that I toured the school. And also, they have an awesome program for my major where I'm able to double major in both elementary and special education, which I really liked when I was touring. And then also, I did my overnight in December with the team, and I loved the team dynamic. And I knew I wanted to play in college. So having the opportunity to do that here and get what I wanted for my major was perfect.
Shannon, go ahead.
Okay, I'll go.
Yeah.
I chose Salve because of the location. I really love like the downtown area, and I really love the campus itself with the old mansions because I'm going to be a history major or a CHP major, so I get like a firsthand on history and like be able to like do things within the mansion. So that's really exciting, and I love the team atmosphere that Salve has.
Maeve?
So I love Salve. I am like probably like an hour 15 away from here, so I love the idea of being close to home. And I also did my overnight in January, and I just fell in love with campus, fell in love with the team and everything. So I also love my major. It's early education, and they have like a great education program here. They really embed you into a classroom like really early on. And I just, yeah.
For each of you, what's the experience been like to be a freshman during a pandemic? Being a freshman comes with its own struggles to begin with, adapting and learning how to be, at a college, and now throw on top of that, oh yeah, there's a worldwide pandemic happening. What has that experience been like for each of you?
I think that it's really helped that the school's been able to put on a lot of activities for us that have been COVID safe. And then also having the team and still having some semblance of a field hockey season was also helpful when adjusting to college. So like I feel like we didn't really know a difference, the alternative of college without a pandemic. So having it like with everything the school put on has been awesome.
I would say it was definitely hard to like branch out due to like COVID and like us not being able to like do things that like we would do. But like Elizabeth said, like we have like a lot of activities that they do like every night with like student engagement. So like everyone gets to meet each other. And it's been like with field hockey, it's a little bit different, but it's definitely like at least we get to like touch, like we get to get on the turf, touch the ball a little bit. It's definitely different, but at least we get to do stuff unlike a lot of other colleges that are online. So I'm definitely grateful that I do have the opportunity to be on campus.
Yeah, I agree. Like all of those activities that they've put on have been so helpful, to just because we only can have like 4 people in a room. So just to go out, be outside, enjoy the weather and just meet new people. I mean, even with masks, it's a little difficult, but I feel like if I didn't have field hockey and I didn't have like this group of girls that I was able to be friends with like right off the bat, it would be a little more difficult. So in a way, I think it definitely did help me socially.
Being a student athlete is all about balancing academics and the athletic side of things. Having been student athletes before, but now being in college, what do you guys feel has been the biggest difference between being an athlete in high school versus now being one in college?
I think the biggest difference is that you have to manage your time on your own and like know when you have to lift, and someone isn't going to tell you like you're lifting at 3:00 on this day, and like there's a lot of other things that go along with it too than in high school when it was just practicing games that you need to be on top of.
The difference I've seen with high school and college is definitely like you do a lot of work outside of the field. So like you do a lot of like lifting, you do a lot of like you just do a lot of like harder outside practices. Like we usually go to the weight room like 2 times a week or 4 times a week. So it's definitely different in that aspect. And with like the overall like atmosphere, it's just more intense. Like everyone's there for a reason. Everyone got there the same way like to play field hockey in college. So like the intensity is very great, and that's the difference. Definitely.
Yeah, definitely. I think just between high school and college, like making sure you're staying on top of your classes and like keeping a calendar has been so helpful. I never really kept a calendar in high school. So definitely like making sure you're on top of everything, and especially through field hockey, like Shannon said, we have like lifts and everything, and we also have like team Zooms and stuff to just keep on top of, and we all hold each other accountable for that, which is actually really nice.
Yeah. Which of your teammates has impressed you, motivated you, or helped you the most in the past 4 or 5 months?
I think I can't pick a specific person, honestly. Like the whole team collectively, like everyone has such good morale, which I really appreciated coming in. Like nobody was talking about what the season should have been like if it was a normal year. And everyone in general, like we're all hanging out. We all went to like Miley Thanksgiving dinner the other night together, which was really fun. And they're very inclusive, like even though they already are bonded, like bringing the freshmen in.
I would say the same, exact same as Elizabeth. But for me, there's Tori Bickle, the captain's definitely helped me like transition because I'm from Royersford, Pennsylvania, so I'm really far out, and she's from like a neighboring town. So she's definitely like helped me transition from like a faraway place with the pandemic since I can't go home. And she's just very like she's very encouraging and helps me like with what I need to do as being an like fairly far athlete. So
Yeah, I feel like it's so hard because everyone's just so genuinely sweet and nice, and they all just want you to succeed and feel comfortable. And I if I was gonna say someone, well, not someone, I would probably say the captains because they're like coming in as a freshman, I felt like I was gonna be this like little scared like person that they would like look down towards, which is a horrible assumption, but they're all just so sweet and inviting and just make you feel really comfortable.
Shannon, you've said that you can play every position. Is that something that we're gonna see out on the field, or are you gonna be, hey, if I needed to, I could play the other positions, or are you just gonna be locked into one spot? Or did Shannon freeze up on us? Oh. Shannon, were you able to hear the question? I think you're muted, Shannon. Oh, there you go.
my Wi-Fi is like, yeah, my Wi-Fi is like really bad. I'm so like, what was the question?
You said that you could play every position. Are you going to play every position, or are you going to basically be playing one spot? And I think she froze up again. So you know what? While we're waiting on Shannon, Elizabeth and Maeve, you guys said you've played together since you were in the 4th grade. Was it like predestined, like we're going to college together no matter what, wherever you go, or is it just happen to work out that way?
Okay.
This is what happened.
Yeah, it just happened. I mean, depends on the person that you ask. We've been playing since we were in 4th grade, and Beth's mom actually coached us up until high school, and then we played all throughout high school, and then senior year we were captains together. We never really planned it, in all honesty. I think we were just like fed off of each other. We were like, oh, I'm touring this school, like you should too. And I originally wasn't going to play field hockey, and then Beth decided that she was like, the whole time she was like, oh, I'm playing. And I was a little on the fence, and then like she toured here and loved it, and I toured here and loved it, and it just kind of happened that way.
Mm-hmm.
I was to say, who committed first? Who said, like, I'm going to Salve? And the other was like, oh, okay, I get. Who's the one who's bandwagoning?
They put her deposit down on December 23rd, and my parents were asking me, they're like, you committed, you know you want to go there, like, what's holding you back? So then the next day, I put my deposit down. But I think I knew I was playing field hockey first.
Yeah.
Shannon, I think you keep freezing up, so I guess maybe we'll just have to tease this question, I guess, for another day because we're kind of out of time. But Shannon says she can play every position. Have you guys seen that yet, Maeve and Elizabeth, on the field?
Yeah, I mean, Shannon's like a very versatile player. You can put her anywhere and she'll just play it. I think coach has like specific spots where she'd want to play anybody, but she's very versatile and I don't know where she wants her to play, but she can play multiple positions. Yeah.
All right. Well, unfortunately, Shannon got froze up there, but we'll have to have her back on another day, and she can expound upon her versatility. So, ladies, thank you so much for coming on and joining us here today. Good luck with the rest of the semester. Safe travels home, and hopefully, fingers crossed, seeing everybody out on a field this spring.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank
All right,
you.
take it easy now. As three members of our field hockey team, Elizabeth Clark, Shannon Kennedy, and Maeve Ledwith, we're going to go lastly now to the head coach of our women's soccer team, Coach Jane Walsh. Coach, welcome to the show. How are we doing? I think you're on mute, Jane. Happens to the best of us.
Yep. I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. I wanted to start first by asking, every team started the Seahawks Take Flight campaign, major fundraising effort. Talk about what it was like to go through that process, working with those guys to get a video made and to help promote your team, and then what, if anybody is so generous and they want to give to your program, what that money would be going towards.
Yeah, I mean, preparing for this fundraiser was actually very easy, from an administrative and organizational, perspective, because Andrew Bake really has just been awesome throughout this whole process. Really, all I needed to provide for him was some basic information about, our program and what we've been doing through COVID and how the money might help us, in the future. And I had a few student athletes work on our video. And then other than that, he really, ran the show for us as far as setting it up. So we are greatly appreciative of his efforts. Now it's all on us to get people to donate to our program, which would be incredibly generous and incredibly appreciated. This year, really, 2020 has been a really challenging year. We lost our spring non-traditional season. This summer was kind of weird. We weren't sure exactly where things were going, and then, found out in the fall that we weren't going to be able to compete. And so we really had to switch our focus on, okay, what are the little things that we can do now to prepare for, the inevitable moment when we finally get to compete and play again. And so we grew a lot as a team this year, just learning how to overcome challenges and accepting, what the situation is and making the best of it, and while still making progress, from a soccer perspective as well. I've been saying that, this whole time throughout this fall season, we went from being very much a grass team to much more of a turf team now. So that speaks to the speed and the technical skill that the group's been working on. So, money that's donated to the program could go to a lot of different areas for us. Team gear, that's always a big one. It's amazing how much money, you spend on gear and how much new gear you get every single year. And so I think that would really help enhance the experience for our student athletes to not have to pay out of pocket for all the extra things, and then, I have dreams and, a future goal of possibly getting sideline shelters, for both the men's and women's soccer program. I'd have to have another conversation with Coach O'Rourke about that. But I think sideline shelters would be really nice, whether they're on Brother Reynolds or over on Topa or, something along those lines. But those are expensive, very expensive. So really anything that isn't with, that our budget can't cover, this money would help us. And like I said, I think at the end of the day, it's just about enhancing the overall experience for our student athletes.
Sideline shelters, do those range from, just little tiny like tarp coverings to like, heated with Wi-Fi?
I wish it was heated with Wi-Fi. Maybe if you ever see me in the professional game, I might be up to that level. But no, so I'm thinking somewhere kind of in the middle, like a portable sideline shelter with like a plexiglass kind of covering and a nice bench, for everybody to sit on and keep their things dry on those wet days, which happen pretty frequently.
Yeah. From speaking to a number of athletes, I think a lot of people have kind of said how much they took for granted certain things about being an athlete in the past. And, as coaches, we say these things like, hey, you never know like when, your last game's going to be, you never know when your last practice is going to be, and you'll look back and wish you had these things. I think a lot of kids now are thinking those things already and embracing like, hey, just having the opportunity to practice. Like, I'm so excited for practice.
Yeah.
It won't last forever. Because obviously there'll be kids who won't have experienced any of this, but at least for the next year or two or maybe 3, how much do you think having gone through this fall, or anybody who's gone through being an athlete during this pandemic, that's going to benefit them from a commitment and a mental toughness standpoint down the road, because they're going to embrace that opportunity just to come every day and practice. And then once there's games, oh my gosh, we've got games and we're motivated.
Right.
What's the payoff going to be from that? If there's a buy-in down the road.
Right. No, I mean, I think it's going to be great. And I think that's probably the most challenging concept to get them to understand now, is that, this will benefit you in the long run. So even though they've, kept it positive and they've, powered through this year, and I think they're seeing, the immediate, the short-term kind of immediate, results of kind of adjusting their expectations. I still don't quite think they understand how this is going to help them, a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now. And that's actually a conversation I had with my seniors prior to our season starting. And they were kind of questioning, is this going to be worth it for us? Do we want to go through, having, a run and do all the things we don't necessarily like to do at soccer? Do we really want to go through this and commit ourselves to this process? And that was just kind of the topic that we talked about. It's like, you have the opportunity, it's here. You can either take advantage of it and commit yourself to this, and then look back, a year from now or more and say, I did that, in the hardest, most challenging season ever in collegiate athletics. I did that and I stuck it out. And I think, I don't know exactly what it's going to look like when that payoff comes, and what the behaviors and the actions will be, in the future. But I think it's going to be all positive. There's just a totally newfound appreciation for the game and for being a part of the team and for having this privilege to be a part of the, student athlete and to be a part of the women's soccer program.
Yeah. A lot of people talked about this season having the asterisk, that sort of thing. And I've said in some areas, I think it should be a positive asterisk, not a negative asterisk. Like, this is the year we worked through COVID. Like, if you play games, asterisk, but in a positive way. Like, no, we did that. We want to highlight that. Like, look what we were able to do given what we were dealt. So kind of along those same lines. More of a fun question, though, to close out.
Sure.
Thanksgiving is around the corner. Time is just flying by.
Flying.
The days are long, but the weeks are fast. Any Thanksgiving memories, traditions, anything for you from growing up or your family, anything that stick out to you? Obviously Thanksgiving is going to be different for everybody this year. But what are the Thanksgiving things that stick out to you?
Oh man, there's one in particular that stands out. I've got a side of the family, or a part of my mom's side of the family really enjoys, football and playing Thanksgiving Day football. And I can remember one year we went out, we were visiting my grandparents and my family, this part of my family was there, and my uncle was hardcore about it. And I remember he tackled me to the ground, and just the hit, and I was an athlete, so I thought I wasn't expecting the hit, and he just totally ran me over. And so since then I have opted out of the family football games, but I think that's probably a favorite memory of mine.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. Unfortunately, will not be any football games happening for me this year, along with a lot of us. So maybe in a way, though, maybe that's a good thing. Don't need to. Yeah. I've already dealt with a hamstring injury this year, a sore foot.
Right.
I don't need to. You know what? It's 2020. I'll lay off the
I've got my laundry list.
The weekend warrior contact.
No, thank you.
I'll rain check for next year. On that.
Yeah.
Jane, great to see you. Glad everything's going well with your program. You guys have wrapped up, but like I've been telling you, hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll see you guys out there this spring, and can't wait to catch up with you again next week.
Thank you.
All right, that's Jane Walsh, the head coach of our women's soccer team. We're going to take a very short break and be back with the producers to wrap up today's show. Don't go anywhere.
I'm Rob McGinnis, head coach for cross country and assistant coach for track and field, coming to you today on behalf of the track and field program. We're about ready to get back to work on the track side. Practices will start in a few weeks, and we'll do our best to navigate around some of the protocols that are in place. My distance runners are used to running with face masks. The sprinters, jumpers, and throwers are getting used to that as well. And we're hopeful we'll be back on track this spring and competing against other schools around the CCC and in the region. In the meantime, we could use your support. The pandemic has placed an added strain on departmental budgets, and we could use some assistance in covering costs that are over and above our operational budget. We want to make sure that we make decisions for competitive reasons and not for financial ones. We appreciate all that you, as alumni, family, and friends do for us, and we hope to see you on the sidelines when we're back on the track this spring. Thanks again. We'll see you soon.
Welcome back to Seahawk Talk. I'm your host, Andrew Pizzelli. Going to bring in the producers now, Joey Morelli and Mike DeFusco, to help close out today's program. Fellas, first off, I'd like to get your thoughts on anything our guests had to say here today.
I always love talking to Coach McGinnis, as always, and then again having those freshmen on today just to hear, check in with all of them, make sure they're all doing well with this with the times they're going through. But he always has these inspirational stories, and I want to tease the one for next week that is going to be an even cooler one that involves someone running around the block quite a large number of times that we'll talk about with him next week. So I wanted to tease that a little bit here.
Yeah, we joked with Matt Hurd yesterday about pacing around an apartment during a football game to fulfill the requirements for a marathon. We may have somebody who did something similar.
Yes, maybe. We'll see.
Anything else here to close out today's program from you guys?
I actually found this story. I want to share it. I thought it was kind of neat. There's 5 Newport County student athletes who are signed to go to colleges and play Division I baseball, which is kind of cool. And it's just like a little thing, talking about who they are and where they're going. There's like a lot of information about each kid, which I think is kind of cool. Like they did a lot of research on this, and they talk about kind of the things that we talk about on the show, like how sports has been super weird and how like they're grateful to have gotten what little practice they could get in. But I think something interesting specifically to point out here is Sacred Heart University in Connecticut. I figured maybe D1. I can accept that. But CCSU in New Britain, which is down the street from me, it's like a mile that way. Like I could spit and hit it from here. Would never have guessed it's D1 baseball. Never in a million years.
They're a small D1, and they have a beautiful facility. I played there once. It's actually gorgeous.
The fields are pretty.
Their campus, it kind of reminds me of somewhat of Duke, because they have the big chapel right there in the middle, like a small version.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know you wouldn't think that they are a very small school. You wouldn't think that they would be Division I.
Yeah, like I don't want to talk bad about any colleges, but like whereas back in the day, like UConn was the one that everyone made fun of if you went there. Now UConn's like really good at everything. Now it's become, CCSU has become the butt of the joke because UConn always, they basketball, their women's basketball has always been phenomenal, but like their other sports have been doing really well, and now their academics are like top tier. Now CCSU has become the butt of everyone's joke. So D1 sports so crazy.
Yeah, I'm really glad you brought that in, Joey. That was the one I was talking about.
I figured that was the story you mentioned because it was the top one, and I thought this was pretty cool.
Baseball.
It just broke, right? Related. I didn't play against any of them, unfortunately, though. A little too young, but that's an amazing accomplishment. So congratulations to all 5 of them.
Good for them. Which is why I wanted to highlight that, because it's always fun to highlight, locals doing pretty cool stuff.
All right. Fellas, great job as always. We get to get out of here a little early today, catch a couple last rays of sunshine, and we'll check in with you guys again tomorrow, Joey, and we will see what you have 3D printed for us tomorrow. Hopefully, maybe.
So we are at, what is this, 31 minutes, and it's still at 1%. I'm worried it's not.
All right, so we'll check in on January 10th, 2021 with what you have 3D printed.
Hopefully it's just being weird and it's going. But yeah, we'll know by tomorrow if this worked. I will have 2 rooks tomorrow if all goes well.
It's like trying to save a picture to a floppy drive in 1998. You know.
Well, you can hear it. Like, can you guys hear it?
Oh, I hear it. It's
That's-
working.
It's going. It's trying.
What's gonna happen though, Joey, is your parents are gonna get the electric bill for $8,000 because that thing's been pulling juice for.
I'm sure it doesn't
And
use
you'll get shut
that much
down.
electricity.
Anyway, fellas, great work today. We'll check in with you guys again tomorrow.
All right, we'll see you tomorrow.
All right, that's Joey Morelli and Mike DeFusco, the producers here on Seahawk Talk. I want to thank our guests here today. We had a packed show. Rob McGinnis, Elizabeth Clark, Shannon Kennedy, Maeve Ledwith, and Jane Walsh joined us here on the program today. We are live every day, 3 to 4 p.m. on the Salve Athletics Network. You can like, follow, and subscribe on Facebook, YouTube, and Periscope through Twitter to watch the show or rewatch any past episode of the show. You can also subscribe to the Seahawk Talk podcast through Sounder FM or your favorite podcast app. That'll do it for us here today on Seahawk Talk. I'm your host, Andrew Pizzelli. Have a good night, everyone. We'll see you tomorrow.